So, folks, we've got some patch notes here with balance changes. Those of you who hate Priest, well, maybe you're going to be happy today. If you love Priest, perhaps not so much. But I'll just get right to it, show you what's going on here. Apotheosis getting nerfed. Basically, worse stats. Renew going to 2 mana, and Gibberling going to 2 mana. And now you can stop watching the video if you want, or you can stick around and we'll discuss these in more detail. You get to hear my beautiful voice. So, all right, let's kick it off. Priest getting nerfed. I frankly haven't had as much problem with Priest as most people. Like, yeah, of course, I've had a few frustrating moments. I don't think it's that crazy, though. You can still go under Priest pretty easily and win. So, the Priest outcry, I get it. It's frustrating to lose to. I haven't felt it as much personally, but clearly Blizzard said there is indeed a problem. And particularly, I think at really high legend, where Priest is best, people get very frustrated. So, streamers and outspoken community members tend to feel the heat for Priest more than perhaps people down in Bronze, who are probably more worried about Warlock than Priest. But hey, that's how the world goes sometimes. Those at the top are the loudest and get what they want. I didn't mean to make that sound so charged. Anyway, here's the dev comments on Apotheosis, going from 2-3 to 1-2 buff, which is a substantial change, by the way. Dev comment says we're doing 2 Priest changes targeting burst healing available in the class and their generation capabilities. Let's start with Apotheosis. We're moving the buff down to 1-2 to hit the card's general power and combo capabilities. While healing will always be a strength of Priest, we want to reduce the urgency felt when dealing with Priest's minions. Currently, you can feel like you must remove every Priest minion because of the threat Apotheosis poses. Slight reduction in the buff here should lessen that urgency and make the minions post-Apotheosis easier to deal with. The other side of this nerf is the Samuro Apotheosis combo. The punishment for playing minions into this combo is too much. So while we'd like to keep some of that tension of resource commitment, we don't want the punishment to be a full heal for the opponent. The reduction in attack here helps get that combo into a healthier push-pull state. So I just want to say, first off, awesome write-up. We don't ever hardly get this much detail on the write-ups. Great guidance as to why they're thinking about it, the consequences of thinking about it. That is like an A+ balance change comment. Now, as far as the change is concerned, I do think it's really substantial, right? The most important part of Apotheosis is realistically the lifesteal aspect. That's often what matters most. And this is only going to change the heal output per Apotheosis by 1, which isn't really much when it comes to the heal aspect. So I actually think Apotheosis remains a good card in that regard. Like, it's still gonna be the big heal that you need when you drop it on a big 5/5 or whatever other kind of minion. There are also, of course, ways to additionally buff attack that remain. So you can still get some pretty big meaty boys with lifesteal on them with this version of Apotheosis. But what I like about this change is really the Samuro change. And it may seem crazy to focus on just a single card interaction, but it's such a big one and such a game swinging one, because this does 2 things. Really reduces the output of Samuro's attack, both on the initial attack and the AoE gets notably weaker. That 1 damage difference on the AoE is huge. Maybe not such a big deal on that single minion heal, but on a Samuro turn, it is an enormous difference for being able to clear a board. Also may reduce healing, by up to 7 total health across the multiple minions, but often will reduce the healing impact of a Samuro turn by 3, 4, 5 health, because you're losing that 1 extra damage across 5 minions that Samuro hits into. So really big change in that way. And I think that's always one of the most frustrating things, is that like instant stabilization that Priest sometimes feels like they're going to be able to pull off. Now, again, I actually think Samuro Apotheosis stays in the deck. I think it's still probably going to be a great play in many cases. It just doesn't have quite the output that it did. So this retains the spirit of the card, just pulls the power level down a little, which I think is personally pretty great. If you're somebody who really hates Priest, I suspect you might think this doesn't go quite far enough, or you were just hoping to kill the lifesteal altogether. I can't really speak to that, because I think this is a pretty healthy change, but certainly feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. Someone who doesn't feel the Priest heat quite as much, you might have some more insights if you're feeling that, and certainly value and respect those opinions. That said, let's move over to Renew here, going to 2 mana. Dev comment on this one reads, Renew is going to 2 mana. Wow, insightful. Heading into this patch, we wanted to knock some of Priest's generation potential As one of our main goals in Hearthstone is to have the cards you chose to include in your deck matter, we decided to change Renew specifically because we believe this change makes the largest impact towards curbing the chains of generation in Priest. Wow, that's quite symbolic. They meant like chaining things together, but some might say the meta has been chained by the generation of Priests. A 2-mana Renew has to be more thoughtful inclusion. During deck building, won't be generated by Wand Maker and takes other mana reduction to get to 0. While Priest Identity looks different in future expansions, we wanted to take this opportunity to rein in their card generation and build a much better match experience for both players. So, yeah, I think this is a good change. Renew always felt like such a crazy powerful card. I actually think it's still pretty decent at 3 mana, or 2 mana, excuse me, probably not 3 mana. It almost feels like sort of a Runed Orb in Mage, right, which is 2 mana. And yeah, that gets to clear a minion, but this one you get to restore some health, which of course has other upsides, things like Xyrella, health synergy cards, etc. So still quite a bit of payoff here, even at 2 mana, I think. And with Priest reducing card costs, you know, it's still going to be 0 mana sometimes with multiple palm readings and such. So still something you can weave into turns, essentially. But the Wand Maker change is big. That makes Wand Maker far less valuable tool, although still getting Draconic Studies and actually almost increasing the likelihood of getting Draconic Studies could still make Wand Maker relevant, but clearly more likely to get something not good because Renew was obviously one of the highest results, best results for Wand Maker. So all in all, I think this is still going to get played at 2 mana. It's definitely going to feel worse, but I think there's just too much payoff, and discovering spells and generating value is what Priest is all about right now. So I think Renew at 2 is still reasonable. And, you know, Priest often does float mana and flex mana. There will be turns where this really punishes you because you can't do that other thing you really need to do, but on average, I think the deck will be just fine. So next up here is Gibberling going to 2 mana. I still can't believe Lightning Bloom is what dodges the nerf. Lightning Bloom is such a crazy card to me. I don't get it. I don't know. Let's read what the thoughts were here. Gibberling to 2. Gibberling's moving to 2 mana. Currently, Gibberling is the cause of many non-games matches that are heavily lopsided in the early game and can have their outcome decided far too early. We want to lower the frequency of this occurrence, and Gibberling at 2 mana should result in many more games where opponents can respond to an early board of this little menace. Well, I mean, yeah, that's reasonable. It's definitely going to help, of course. Token Druid getting off to those crazy starts is one of the worst feel-bad moments to me in Hearthstone right now, so I actually like this a little more than the Priest changes even. I still think Lightning Bloom is like a more ripe target just because it seems like a card that's just going to keep popping up and being problematic. Guardian Animals already died for Lightning Bloom, I would argue, and now Gibberling is going to die for Lightning Bloom because it's not the Gibberling itself. It's when you can spend 3 or 4 or 5 mana on top of the Gibberling in the same turn, get 5 or 6 Gibberlings, and buff them all at once is when you have those non-games. So yes, Gibberling is like the setup, but it's really Lightning Bloom, I feel like, that hammers this home and makes it feel so problematic. Because if you just had a board of 1/1 Gibberling, sometimes that's not that hard to catch up and deal with. But I feel like when they get buffed right away, that's just a death sentence. So anyway, I would probably still go towards Lightning Bloom. Mana cheat always feels bad to me. Curious to hear your thoughts, though. Do you like Gibberling being changed more or Lightning Bloom? Do you like Druid having some of that mana flexibility and absurd, crazy instant mana options? We also got some bug fixes for Battlegrounds. Updated wording on Kurtrus. To clarify, it's one-time completion. Yeah, some people are thinking it would go off multiple times. Updated Hamul in Battlegrounds so that when your minion types are tied, he will not refresh Bob's Tavern with minion types that are not in the pool. So no beast if you only have like 1 beast, 1 mech, 1 whatever. Like if you're N'Zoth and have a beast and there aren't beasts and you have 1 mech, he'll still give you mechs, I guess. And finally, adjusted Darkmoon prizes to offer better prizes for players in the bottom half of the leaderboard. This was something like snuck into the last patch notes. It like wasn't there initially, and then it got added, and it like surprised people, and it actually wasn't working, I guess. But now it's functionally working. So if you're in the bottom half of any given set of players on the leaderboard, you're going to get offered better Darkmoon prizes when those are there. It's sort of a catch-up mechanic, which some people don't like catch-up mechanics, but it's actually been a pretty fundamental part of auto chess / auto battler style games since they've gained a ton of popularity in the last couple of years with like gold for lose streaks and that sorts of things. So I don't really mind this one. It seems like it's almost part of the genre and gives you sort of a strategic element where you can sacrifice early to gain a lot late. But I'm not a big Battlegrounds guy, of course. So Who knows? That said, yeah, okay. I'll take these changes. See where Priest goes. That'll have some big impacts on the top of the meta for Legend players. I think this one will kind of cascade across everybody because Token Druid's just so frustrating all the time. So I think Hearthstone will be more fun to play after these changes. That said, we're getting pretty darn close to an expansion hitting anyway, so I'll take them, but mostly just looking forward to new cards at this point. That said, of course, share your thoughts down below. Look forward to hearing what you think. Thanks for watching, and until next time, game on.